Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever live That Thom Clancy Show. So, hey, everybody, how's it going? I'm gonna be honest. I'm more than a little nervous about this right now. Uh, there are a lot of spinning plates, but thankfully, I have my magic laptop right here and a microphone right here, and you guys. Did I touch the real world microphone? I don't think so. Right out there in my audience. So, this is one of those like secret things that I've been working on for the last couple of years that I've on and off again tried to make actually happen. Unfortunately, I've had a couple false starts. Mostly, I have been trying to do this in a way that wasn't really congruent with me. I tried to make it like a super talk show. I tried to make it like a daily show. And I mean, I guess you could call me a robot. I mean, it kind of works. But I mean, I got this nice hoodie on and everything. Like, robots don't wear hoodies. I mean, I guess like Westworld robots do. But I'm clearly not a Westworld robot. I have this wonderful monitor head. And I've got like these cool robot hands that don't actually emote right now because I broke something when I was making the show. Much like this like soundboard looking thing right up here, which I forgot to parent to the table, so it didn't come over to me when I told it to. But this is That Thom Clancy Show. I decided that this idea still had a lot of merit, and I thought, why not make it kind of fit with me? So I made this nice little garage set. Got some banging art right there on the wall at VR_humans. The guy this named Vlad. He sculpted that all in VR. Dude is awesome. Art used with his permission, of course. Because, oh no, sorry, microphone. The microphone's actually right here in real world space. Not right here. Maybe I should come up with a thing so that way I could have it represented. That would make sense. Sorry for people wearing headphones. But yeah, so this is the show. It's probably not going to be too long because, I don't have, I got, that fancy computer guy over there. And that's where I intend to have a guest. But I kind of slapped this all together for the most part this week. So I haven't had the opportunity to really like make this happen. So I don't have a guest. And yeah, I tried not to smack the mic. I tried really hard, but it's amazingly difficult to do these things when you can't see the world around you or you can't see the physical world around you because it kind of looks like this in real life. As I said, it'll make sense because this right here, this white cable, is going to a second keyboard, which I keep on my lap so I can switch between my scenes and stuff, which is kind of fun in its own weird, silly kind of way. So, note to self, keep hands at about this level, no higher. But hey, first time, still figuring it all out. So, what do we have to talk about this week? Well, I've found a few things on here that I'm really kind of, this week has been really kind of weird. But a few things that I wanted to talk about primarily. One, I've been playing Super Metroid on my Monday, Wednesday streams. That has been super fun. I want to take some time to talk about that. Two, Netflix subs are up, and so I wanted to reach out to all you guys, figure out what you're streaming right now. Three, Engadget, one of my personal favorite tech news sites, posted this big silly guide to cafe quality coffee at home. And as a professional barista, I just wanted to take a moment and laugh at it. And then finally, this week we have gotten one of the final episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars on Disney Plus, which is absolutely gangbusters. And we also got Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045. And I wanted to take some time to talk about the disparity between the two. So, I'll leave that there. That's kind of my big thing to talk about today because, man, there's a lot to unpack there. So, before everything kind of sets off, just want to say thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you to everybody who's been coming out to the stream for the last couple weeks and showing their support. It really does actually mean a lot to me because even though I kind of did this to just kind of like really started getting into this to do something kind of silly, I appreciate that everybody's come along with me on this ride, this like kind of ludicrous and crazy ride, which now involves me pretending to be a robot, turning my head to the left as much as I possibly can just for a silly little bit. But hey, thank you all for being here. It means a lot. And virtual high fives, or no handshakes, and we can't do hugs anymore because the world clearly hates us. But thank you all for being here. High five, high 10 on the download. Oh, too slow. That was bad. I won't do that again today. So, Super Metroid. Super Metroid is one of those games that I never had the opportunity to play as a kid growing up. And really, that's unfortunate for me because that game is amazing. If you all haven't been keeping up with my progress as I've been kind of blind playing through it and only minimally looking at FAQs to help me figure out what I'm getting wrong because clearly I'm doing a lot of things wrong because I have no idea how to play the game. But, that game is good. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you have Nintendo Online, go play it on the SNES emulator. It's one of those games that people tell you for years you have to play it. And you're always like, yeah, sure. I'll play that game. I'll play that game soon as I have time for it. And you don't actually mean it. Kind of like the whole idea of saying that, someday you'll go make that big trip to Fiji or whoever, wherever. It's that same kind of concept. But with everybody right now playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which doesn't really do it for me, as I didn't really particularly enjoy Final Fantasy. Here a little lurky, behind media stuff, and don't have Disney Plus. Dude, Tanya, if you... We'll figure out a way for you to see that. I'm going to leave it right there. But Super Metroid is one of those games that legit should be played. There's a reason why Metroidvania games start with Metroid and not Castle. Because aside from the fact that Castleroid sounds stupid. Sounds like some reject character from Game of Thrones. There's the mountain who rides and there's the castle that roids. But either way, it's just so amazingly good. Even the parts I hate, I've just been having an absolute blast playing this game. And I have hated a very large portion of this game. Trust me on that. Anything that involves the grapple beam. And Brian, if you're here right now and you say a dang word about that grapple beam, I'm going to reach through the internet and I'm going to give you a high five. Because you are dead on calling me for sucking at that thing. But, yeah. I'm probably about 70% or so through the game. Hopefully, I will be finishing it up on either Monday or Wednesday of this upcoming week. Monday or Wednesday this week are also going to be, or this upcoming week is going to be the last week of my normal stream schedule of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I go back to work on May 5th. My Starbucks opens back up on May 4th. So sometime next week, I'm going to figure out what the new schedule is going to be. This show will probably stay on Friday nights. I generally don't work on Saturdays, so I can do this on Friday night to my heart's content. But I do generally tend to end up working on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I generally end up working those days at 5 in the morning. So I kind of got to figure out how to fit the rest of that in. But yeah, so Super Metroid, if you have access to it, absolutely go play that game. It is one of those games that is legitimately as good as everybody says it is. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, so that's Super Metroid in a nutshell. Yeah, let's see. Nope. All right, so Engadget, they posted this lovely little guide on how to get cafe quality at home. The TLDR on this, trust your professionals. No offense to everybody else. Sorry, headset digging into my brow. No offense to anyone watching at home or listening or what have you, but coffee ain't easy. It's that simple. The best thing I can say to people who are making coffee at home is, a simple coffee maker or a French press or a pour over are going to be your best bets. If you're really dead set on making espresso, go with an AeroPress. They're inexpensive. They're built out of high quality plastic. They will live for basically ever. And they come with these little teeny handy dandy filters, and you can literally just make the espresso right into a cup, and it takes really the longest part of making espresso via AeroPress is going to be boiling the water. Everything else, super simple. You don't need an espresso machine. You definitely don't need the multi-$1,000 espresso machines, because they expensive. But at the end of the day, though, Engadget did produce a really nice and fun to read article for a professional barista when it comes to pointing out stuff that I might like at home, because I'm a coffee nerd and I like having literally every way of preparing coffee possible. Yeah, I own one of pretty much everything on that list, either between myself or Misty. So, next big thing, Netflix subs are up by a large number. Kel Surprise. Who would have thought that something that allows people to watch large amounts of content from home when they can't leave home would suddenly become more popular? Like, nobody would have guessed that. Do wish that, like, in December I decided to invest a bit more in, like, say, Netflix, and not necessarily Disney, but like Amazon and Hulu and all that stuff. Like, man, because those numbers got to be looking good. Fully admit, I've been really watching Netflix. It's nothing against Netflix. It's just the shows that I'm watching right now are on Hulu or HBO or, man, the more I say this, the more I feel kind of just wrong for having so many different streaming services. Like, don't get me wrong. I really appreciate the idea that I have multiple choices. But dang, how many streaming services do we really need on any given day? Apparently a lot. But it's just the way it is. Originally we had Netflix, we had Hulu, and so many things were on each of them. And, you could basically get everything on one or 90%. And then everybody looked and saw Netflix was making a bunch of money and thought, hey, let's try and get it on that Netflix. So, is what it is. But, there's a lot of good stuff still on there. Everybody's telling me to watch Tiger King. I just haven't quite gotten into it because I really don't feel like watching something about the dude who tried to run for president, who's clearly a psychopath. That said, though, I also didn't watch like any of the Bundy shows or anything like that because I don't really do the whole psychopath thing, with the exception of Amos and The Expanse. That's because he's from Maryland, and as a Marylander, we don't really get a lot of representation in a lot of things, so you take what you can get. Except for Spiro Agnew. No, we disavowed that guy. But hey, the new season of Castlevania is on there, and that's not terrible. I just don't really like that show, I'm going to be honest. I just kind of watch it because it's there, and it's not offensive to me. But, yeah, it's not particularly good. Oh, hey, rather watch shows about not garbage people. Hell yeah. That's basically it. And thank you so much for being here. Welcome to my garage, my silly garage. Yeah. So, hi. It's good to see a camera. I do. So, the fun thing is, I do actually have a 3D approximation of a camera over there because I want to have something to actually look at when I'm talking to you guys. And since I do also have a second camera angle, there's also a second camera. I even put little red squares on top of them that light up to let me know which one is actively recording in case I could ever forget. But that's the simple truth of it. So, yeah, probably a later video I'll like do a tour of our little tour of my little recording space here. It's actually not a terrible thing. Skips out to everything like the world is already burning. Why watch a show about a terrible person? Yeah, that's really fair. But I mean, we also, for a moment, I was going to stop myself and be like, let's not get political here. But at the same time, for some reason, the major networks still continue to air that coronavirus briefing every day from the White House. And I mean, hey, world's already burning. And we have a daily however many hours of a terrible person. Is what it is, though, right? So, dang. I need to start getting myself more things. But hey, first show, we're still figuring this all out. So really, I guess my last big note is we've got the Clone Wars and we've got Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045. So let's open with Star Wars, Ghost in the Shell. Let's start talking with Ghost in the Shell. As a person above a certain age, I remember when the original Ghost in the Shell movie came out in the mid or whatever part of the 90s it was, and it was excellent. That's the simple truth of it. It was this beautifully drawn and animated existential look at what it means to be human in a world where we're all overly connected and also have artificial body parts, which is cool. And then we got Ghost in the Shell Innocence, this follow-up to that was equally beautiful and equally as deep. And I love both of them. But Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex is more my speed. I'm not a huge fan of like the whole existential dread and question of being and all sorts of stuff. I have enough of that in my own daily life. And I read way too many French existential writers in high school and got tired of them very quickly. Spoiler alert, they're even more insufferable in French. So, when I heard there was going to be a new season of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, I was overjoyed. The first season of the show is excellent. The second season of the show is excellent. I actually am sad to say that I never had the opportunity to watch the made-for-TV movie, which followed up on the second season of the show. But it's this great take on kind of the police procedural that we're also familiar with here, with this added cyberpunk edge. And I'm a sucker for cyberpunk, and I'm a sucker for police procedurals. And it basically was just that magic combination of everything that I would want to see in a show. And the great thing about it is that it starts out like both of the seasons of the show. And I'm not going to get into spoiler territory because it's one of those things I feel kind of everybody should, if you're going to watch it, it's best to go in not spoiled. But I mean, it's more just like a personal philosophy thing on spoilers. So like, it's just more fun. Shows, movies, books, all that stuff are just more fun when you get to make the discovery as opposed to having it made for you by somebody else. One of my coworkers doesn't give a crap about spoilers, and I do. So it makes for some very interesting conversations at work when I haven't had the opportunity to watch a thing. So, season 1 of Ghost in the Shell and season 2 both kind of start in the same kind of way, which is that you're getting to know these characters who are working for a clandestine part of like the Japanese FBI, for lack of a better word. And everything kind of just seems like individual cases, but some bits and pieces start to become more relevant as the season progresses. And then you find out that it was all part of like some big master plan being held by some person trying to cover something up, stage a coup. They're not trying to stage a coup, but covers ups do happen. And it's this wonderful show. Season 2 dives even deeper into most of the main characters in ways that are very interesting. So when I found out that there was going to be this new season, man, I'm all over it, right? You know, and then they're all like, oh, it's going to be CG and it's going to be a Netflix original. And I'm like, okay, I'm still down for it. Then they showed some of the CG and I'm like, but it still goes in the show, right? And then I watched the first 6 episodes of it yesterday when it came out. It's really not. The voice actors are all the same, and the characters are still kind of the same. But at the end of the day, it's not right. You know, the big bad of the season is very clearly not going to get defeated in a season, which is kind of antithetical to how the show was previously set up. But then at the same time, it's just there's something very wrong about the nature of this season's big villain. And then on top of that too, there's all of these crazy things where that just aren't congruent with the franchise, you know. And then there's one very strikingly racist bit too, which yeah, that's bad. It's 12 episodes. I'm 6 in. I don't even want to finish it. Usually I'm the kind of guy who, like, I'll just finish it, especially a TV show. Like a TV show, you can literally just kind of turn it on and just let your day go. And, you know, stuff just kind of happens on the show. You keep kind of track of it. And if it's a good show, cool, it's going to keep your attention. If it's a bad show, whatever, you're not wasting brain power processing it all. But this is to the point where it's just like so much of it feels wrong that I have no desire to even have it on in the background, which stands in stark contrast to the final season of the Clone Wars, which has just been amazing. I mean, it's just, as opposed to Ghost in the Shell, which very clearly doesn't fully understand what it's trying to be, or what it should be, despite coming from the people who previously worked on it. This is a show that knows what it is, that knows what it wants to be, that knows where it came from. I mean, it is Star Wars. Every time an episode is over, I'm uplifted. I think to myself that Dave Filoni, the guy who's pretty much the brains behind the Clone Wars and also Rebels, he is Star Wars. He is the new George Lucas. He is the guy that Disney should be saying, hey, we need a new Star Wars trilogy. Let's have this Filoni guy do it. Now, that said, I'm a big fan of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And I feel that individually, that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson both fully understand Star Wars, but in completely different ways. And J.J. certainly should not have been the follow-up to Rian Johnson, though Rian made a very good follow-up for Abrams. But again, personal opinion, all mine. So take that as you will. But yeah, the Clone Wars is really firing on all cylinders. And as we only have 2 episodes left and we're getting to a very dark point in Star Wars history, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out with these characters who we have gotten to know over the last, since 2008. Yeah, because I mean, Ahsoka got introduced in the Clone Wars animated movie, which was summer 2008. And I mean, you go with some of the other characters, like really just Asajj Ventress and General Grievous, who were introduced in the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars cartoon, which is also equally amazing. And unfortunately, you can't find any legitimate way to watch it because everybody would rather you forget that it actually existed, which is just really too bad because it was excellent. And I mean, it was Genndy Tartakovsky, so you know it was going to be good, and you knew it was going to be visually striking. I mean, the dude was just coming off of like doing like Powerpuff Girls and everything. So like, oh, and Samurai Jack, you know. Brief aside, season 5, Samurai Jack. Oh my god, it was so good. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was the microphone. It's right here. I gotta stop doing that. Again, season 5 of Samurai Jack. So beautiful. Like, we are in this time frame where we're getting just absolutely amazing animation, and then there's people like me who are running motion capture on the internet for Twitch based off of 3 points of tracking. Hopefully by next week I'll have 5 points of tracking, because I had an inverse kinematic setup working with my hands and my arms, but without elbow trackers, your elbows just kind of flip and flop all over the place, and it just, well, it made me sick. I'm going to be completely honest. So I would much rather have disembodied hands and a torso that takes its position based relative to where my head is, especially this big clunky head, which is very fun. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you all think, though, in regards to, you know, Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Ghost in the Shell, if you've watched it, or if you haven't. I mean, hot takes are always fun. I try and make them frequently, but then I end up generally deleting the tweet and then just letting the moment pass me by. But that's just me. So what do you guys think of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Ghost in the Shell 2045? What games have you been playing? What shows are you streaming on Netflix? You know, all sorts of stuff like that. You know, like it's fun for me to sit here and talk to you guys, or I guess I should say talk kind of at you guys, but it gets a lot more fun when we get a discourse going. I mean, I could sit here and I could talk rest of the night if I needed to, but you know, let's get some interaction and some fun going, huh? Because we're wild and crazy peoples. Okay, I'll stop doing that. But yeah, I'm only going like slightly crazy in this world of social distancing and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But, you know, I'm sure everybody else is kind of too. You know, the one thing though that's kind of surprised me is that I'm surprised we're not seeing a bigger push from virtual reality developers and hardware manufacturers, because this seems like the perfect opportunity to try and bring VR to the masses, to try and build to try and build out the virtual network. Because now I'm not going to say that virtual reality is in any way a replacement for regular reality, because that would be a lie. But there is definitely something fun about being able to hang out with a friend in a three-dimensional space and dynamically hear their voice in a position relative to your own. A good friend of mine who's I got to know him because he was originally a YouTuber. His name goes by Tesla Dev. He does a lot of Unreal Engine tutorials, and we just became friends over the years. And welcome back, Tanya. Always good to have you here. And every now and then we get together in Altspace VR. And he's from the UK, I'm from the US, and I've never actually had the opportunity to meet the kid in real life. But being able to hang out in Altspace VR and, you know, virtual high five and have this opportunity to physically interact because we're able to go to a shared space and participate in a shared activity. That was like, God, that was the most fun I've had since I got told that my store was shutting down. And it's just like, man, and it's kind of sad that this isn't taking off. But then at the same time, I fully understand that the setup that I personally have requires a stupid powerful computer setup, and the Oculus Quest itself is not an inexpensive piece of hardware. But yeah, I guess I just kind of answered my own question there. Well, dang it, Tom. Oh, well, that's just me. Yeah. But, it gives me this opportunity to let you guys see me in a way that I generally feel a little bit more comfortable with, because not that I have any major problems with like me, but it's kind of fun to have this avatar of myself to present to you all. That's not to say that I see myself as a disembodied torso, hands, and computer head, but as a person who's always felt that they were supposed to live in our dystopian cyberpunk future, this is kind of my way to get that feeling across to you. I would like to think that in said dystopian cyberpunk future that I would be part of an underground resistance of some sort, trying to maintain some level of normalcy and order in society and standing up for the little guy, because the big guy's just going to continue to get bigger and continue to step on them. But I'm just going to settle for being a guy on the internet with a silly idea for a show who has opinions. Which I think is a pretty cool idea too. We don't all have to have some big purpose in life. We can just have silly purposes, like making silly internet shows with a virtual reality headset. Man, as I kind of say it more, it sounds a little weirder and dumber. Maybe not dumb, but it sounds certainly a little stranger. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say here. Originally, the idea for the show came up a couple years ago. My wife's easiest way to explain it is my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's boyfriend, was trying to figure. We were trying to collaborate to figure out how to take my enthusiasm for things like video games and technology and turn that into, a YouTube channel, a Twitch channel, something like that. Because with the exception of Super Metroid, when I play games, I have this tendency to kind of just get really intense and in my own head, and I don't say it at all. And you put me on like a normal camera, and it's just like, oh, whatever, normal camera, and it's very stale, it's very formulaic, I guess. Whereas you put me in this kind of situation, and it's becomes more of a performance, because I have this costume, I have this makeup, and I have this microphone that I should stop touching. Sorry. I'm going to need to figure something out for that. Maybe I'll put a plane right here, because you guys can't see planes because they're one-dimensional objects. So we get this, so we had this idea, and it came to me. I was like, well, wait, what if we used Unreal Engine to do some kind of like a performance capture? Because at about this same time, all of the information about how Unreal was being used for things like Star Wars Rogue One and all that was really coming down. Yeah, and Max Headroom, again, was one of our original inspirations. Our original head, the original head was literally a cube, but the original way we pitched the show was we had a gray pill that looked vaguely head-shaped that we put like a little VR headset on with this same kind of like face cover on it. And I didn't like it. And so we just started iterating. And, here we are a couple years later. And we've got this. I even got a body. That's kind of nice. I like having the body. And we got this nice set. Like, honestly, my favorite part about this is that, because I don't have a close-up of it, unfortunately, but no, that didn't work. Dang. But I'll put a link, because I will eventually probably be putting this on YouTube as well. I'll put a link in the YouTube description for this, or I'll find a way to get it into chat or whatever. But so that is the overworld map for Super Mario World as sculpted in virtual reality. And like, I found out about that piece and I just like instantly fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the artist, and me and him have just become friends over the last year or so. He has another piece which heavily inspired my head, which I also try to take a little bit of Master Chief and some other stuff in there as well. In the iMac. Look, I was an Apple kid growing up. I'll probably always be an Apple person, despite the fact that I don't have any Apple computers right now. Is what it is. But yeah, so now we're in this bit, and previously one of the big things that was holding it back was that we were trying to do it all in post-production. Did my hand just like... Did my hand just go like... for you guys too? Because it felt kind of weird. Yeah. So we were doing it all in post, where I would perform and then it would all render out and then we'd put it all together and stuff. Whereas this is all being done in real time. Yeah, I'm honestly, I gotta be honest, I'm really kind of surprised that this all works. But yeah, the last couple weeks getting this back together and working, I'm going to go ahead and thank the guys at Rooster Teeth for this, for getting me up off my lazy butt, because whether they intended to or not, they kind of like copped my old idea. But again, it, whatever. They didn't, they very likely had no idea about it. But either way, they started doing a talk show in Unreal Engine, and I just saw that and I was like, Brian, welcome to the show. Bad idea, Bri. In chat is my good friend Brian Edwards. When I tried launching the show again last year, he was my first guest. Though back then, I sat over there and the guest sat over here, and there was a desk and it looked all professional and junk. Whereas now, I'm clearly not professional. I've got a hoodie on and like a t-shirt. I'm in a garage. This is much more indicative of me. And yes, this is absolutely being done in real time. Let's see if I can. How's the easiest way to prove that to you? Here. Hey, Brian. This is real time. I'm right here. There's the microphone. And let's go back to... There we are. And wait a second. Dang, that is... Nope. Okay, some other stuff going on. More bugs in the system that I gotta work out. Thankfully, I did not contract with Dennis Nedry, so I don't have to worry about him stealing my source code and dinosaur embryos and trying to give them to somebody else. In truth, I don't have source code. Dinosaur embryos I keep in the basement. I had to make that joke. I didn't have to make that joke, but I made that joke. I love dinosaurs. But yeah, Cyberpunk, yeah, it's kind of what I'm going for. Additional note, scale down head size. Yeah, that's like, I feel that's way too big. I mean, I'm not trying to overshadow the guest over there, but I guess maybe, yeah, the joke happened. It happened. It will likely happen again. Good ones, bad ones, ones in between will happen. And when I have my soundboard here instead of right up there, I can't even hit it. Can't even hit it from here. Hold on a second. I hope you guys heard those. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's not working properly. It's only supposed to be playing one of those sounds at once. But I got soundboard and it plays sounds. How cool is that? And it will tell you guys when you're supposed to laugh. Who knew? Oh, you're going to get sick of that before the day is over. I can feel it. But yeah. So this is going to become the new Friday show. Hopefully for next week, I'll have a guest. So we'll probably start out kind of like how we are right now with like this informal kind of podcasty thing where I'll be like, man, have you seen that show? I didn't like that show, but I heard so-and-so like that show. And then we'll take a few minute break with some music, and I will, in real time, put a guest right over there. And I also have a different shot, which I completely forgot. Haha! Dang it! But yeah, there we go. So I have this different shot where I can have my guest, and they'll have their own like screeny thing there. Long term, I would also like to be able to have a VR guest for somebody else who has VR. And I don't know how to make that now, but me in the future might. And then also I'd like to get, because I have the index, and I'd like to get all of those like actual hand animations going. So that way I could like be like flipping the bird if I wanted to. And then like pointing and finger guns. But nah, it ain't happening today. So you guys, my first audience, let me just ask, how's the audio sound? I'm not as close to my microphone as I generally would like. I also am not usually facing it as much as I would like. But I like this always karate chop hand thing. You might like it, Brian, but I don't like it. So let's go back to this camera. I like it better for right now. I don't have a guest. They don't need as much space and focus as I do. But yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm kind of digging this. I wish that there was a way that I could like play games this way. Audio is clear, stream is smooth. I think you're A-okay. Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Now, Brian, we should get like the Expanse guys watching this. Like I could make a show. There's a mouse pointer flying around when your hand is moving. That's because, okay. So from your perspective, oh yeah, there it is. From your perspective, I have this table and the things. But what you can't see is that I have this fancy window. Just reach out to Elias. I'm sure he'll dig it. Next week, buddy. Next week. And you damn well better believe I'm going to try and have him on this. But I actually have my main window for my PC displayed right here. So I can read chat in real time and read my show notes in real time. Dude, I got lights, I got cameras. This is some bitchin' technology. And yeah, you better believe I kind of took that old Nicolas Cage as played by Jimmy Fallon from Celebrity Jeopardy bit. I actually didn't come up with that right away. I really thought about that. And let me try and get that away. I thought about that ahead of time. I'm sorry. I should have been funnier. But I wasn't. So, excited to see it all pan out over the weeks ahead. Dude, the main things I need to work on, and one of the main things I need to work on moving forward is I'm waiting for a couple of Bluetooth receivers to come in. And so this is, I have a Valve Index. I previously had the HTC Vive. Fun thing about the Index and the Vive is that they kind of are backwards compatible with each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old index controllers and set those up as trackers, so I don't have to spend the money on like the Vive trackers, and figure out a way to put them on my elbows here and then track those to the elbows. So I'll have this full arm tracking. So I'm going to be like a full torso with arms. And then I have to do some scaling and stuff because as a relatively giant person, most game models aren't built to my scale. So I have to stretch out the arms so they actually meet with where my real wrists are. Fun times. But I mean, let's see. Yeah, Brian and Tanya, both of you have actually met me in real life, so you both know that I'm a giant person. I'm just so tall. Wait. Oh man. Yeah. And then I also want to work. Assuming you've been watching cinematography database of progression using Vive and cameras. Hey, Callista Kane, so good to have you here. Thank you for being here. I can't see you, of course, but this is my virtual world. Welcome to my podcasting garage. That's my guest, and these on this laptop are all of my wonderful friends. Actually, I've met several people who are in my chat. So, yeah, geez, as it stands, I've like met pretty much everyone in this chat right now. This is nuts. Callista Kane is one of my Starbucks regulars. She's pretty cool. She also streams as well. Feel free to pop on over to her stream whenever she's on. She's usually playing some weird Persona thing that I just make fun of because I don't understand it. Or Yakuza, because you're playing what? Yakuza Kiwami? I think? She was previously playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Is Red 13 actually in it? Because I forget when he shows up, and he's like my favorite character in the game. So, yeah. Yeah, so this is what I've been working on. This is what I do when I'm not making coffee professionally. Because I'm a barista. Yeah, he is, but you can't play as him. I'm sorry? What? He's the best character. I mean, I thought Vincent was pretty cool too, but I mean, I was in high school. Give me a break. Vampires were cool, okay? But I hope that like my weirdness is translating well here, because it's one of the crazy things about all this is that you really have. I'm channeling what I remember of the making of documentaries for the original Planet of the Apes, when all of those actors were saying that to emote adequately for their characters, they had to be significantly larger than they would if they weren't wearing crazy prosthetics. So I'm trying to channel that when I do this. Which also means that my neck is getting one heck of a workout because it's having to work with a couple extra pounds that it normally doesn't. But hey, I'm not complaining. I'm only complaining a little. So, I'm still on the fence. Like, I want to play it, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because everyone else is playing it. But I don't want to play it because I don't want to play it. I mean, if you get what I mean, yeah. I really wish that they would do like a really awesome remaster of Final Fantasy IX though, because like, dude, that's my jam. Vivi's my guy. Love that kid. Zidane's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody in that game is a pretty great character, but Vivi's my dude. But 9 was Brian, I see you. I know where Toronto is. I'll come back. That's my threat to you. Oh man, so many people hate on 9, and I mean, hey, you want to hate on 9, go for it. Just know that you're wrong, and you're gonna be fighting me. So, That's just how it goes. Don't worry. Brian's just trolling. That's what he does. That's kind of what the two of us do with each other. Brian also drinks Tim Hortons coffee. Now they remake 8 and do it right, and I'm down. I want to fall in love with Renault again. Dude, I couldn't get into 8. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't think 8's bad. I just didn't care for it. Like 10, I just nope, not even saying it. 11 is the hidden gem. 11 is dope. 11 was my first MMO, and I didn't think it would be possible to make an MMO feel like Final Fantasy. And then they made Final Fantasy 11. That game was excellent. Just saying. Inappropriate sound effects. I love it. I don't know if I like you anymore. I mean, I don't think you really liked me to begin with, Brian. You just appreciated that every now and then I could add a nice little spin on your scripts. Oh, that's a burn. I'm kidding. Brian's perfectly fine without my help. Yeah, take that, Brian. I'm coming for you. That's how it works. But, yeah, Close to Canes, it was so great to have you here. And thank you so much for just being awesome and fun and see the abuse I deal with, chat. We open back up on May 4th, but we're only open for mobile orders. So if you don't already, get the mobile app, and then we'll be able to get coffee for you. I'm not trying to like get everybody else to join Starbucks or anything, but I'm just, she's one of like my favorite morning regulars, and it's always nice because she used to come in a Diva hoodie, and we bonded over our shared appreciation of Overwatch. Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to end it here soon because I'm getting a little hoarse here because I can't get to water. None exists in this digital void. But yeah, this is my first attempt at this. And I'm so amazingly happy that like you all came out here, and I'm so amazingly happy that it even moderately succeeded. I'm gonna be honest, all this afternoon I've just been like an anxious mess because like I just didn't think this would work, and I thought I'm boring. I mean, I'm pretty boring, but you know what I mean. Either way, I think I'm gonna call it a night for today. Yeah, it's almost 9:00, so or 9:00 Central Time. Feel like we had a pretty good first show. We'll be back next week, same time at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and I'm gonna bust my butt getting myself a guest for this show. So we'll have somebody to sit over there on our second character, who is just a posed mannequin. But it's not the Unreal mannequin, so it's like a different mannequin, which is nice. So thank you all. So yeah, let me know if you need me to reach out to anyone. Yeah, I will, man. I got a few people I want to get in touch with. I got a few other people. I mean, Tanya, you're one of the people I'd love to have on the show because you're awesome. I mean, the first time I met Tanya, she introduced herself as being from I think it's I Need Diverse Games, and I think the first thing I said to you was, that's awesome because I do too. Does Tanya live here? Not here, but you can talk with her about all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, because diverse games are awesome because it gives everybody an opportunity to see themselves in things and to see themselves in art that they normally wouldn't see themselves in or be exposed to. Because, like, we're all human, and all of our experience, like, without getting, like, too touchy-feely about it, but we all have something to learn from each other's experiences. And we all need to learn to see ourselves in each other. And like, dude, I love seeing experiences from somebody else's perspective because it just puts so much of life in perspective. Real quick though, before I go, you all are great. Don't forget to wash your hands, keep safe distances, drink your vitamins, support local businesses, and be kind to your neighbors. Tip your waiter/waitress. Yeah, Brian, you are pretty great. And also, John Scalzi had a new book that came out last week. It's called The Last Emperox. It's the final book to his interdependency trilogy. I'm about halfway through it. It's excellent. If you're a reader, go check it out. It's like Game of Thrones in space. And then in a week and a half, Martha Wells, who wrote the Murderbot Diaries series of novellas, has her first novel of the Murderbot coming out. It's called Network Effect. I read it a few months ago because I used to work at a bookstore, so I get advanced copies of stuff. And oh my God, that's good. And if any of you guys have like a connection to John Scalzi or Martha Wells, I would love to have them on the show, and I would be eternally grateful if you could put me in touch with them. So, you all are excellent. Thank you so much for coming in. I will be back next week on Monday with Metroid Mondays, and then back for this show on Friday. This has been That Thom Clancy Show. I am That Thom Clancy. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you all soon.